This is TwoGether, an Ada Bible Church podcast about the world of marriage, where we attempt to invite you to explore the ways marriage works and doesn't work. From practical ways of learning to biblical inspiration, we invite you to listen to other professionals and couples to help enrich your marriage.
Hey, listeners, this is Kelly Bonniewell with TwoGether, and I am here with the whole gang except for Samuel.
Miss you, Samuel.
Yes, we do. Samuel is counseling people right now and couldn't be with us, but this is kind of more of like an update episode for us. And to start, I thought I would share with you guys a little bit of history of TwoGether. Like, why did we do this podcast? And the podcast, the very first episode was November 9th of 2020. So Samuel and I, our number one need at Ada is marriage by far. And we knew at the church that we had a ton of resources to help marriages. And we had a ton of resources with counselors and experts out in the community that we could pull from. And so we said, let's start a podcast. So we bought a board.
As one does.
Yes. Yeah, let's just start a podcast.
Right.
So we bought a board and we bought some microphones, and we were sitting in the warehouse in October, and Samuel and I said, well, let's test this out and let's just do like a test recording. We probably won't use it. And we did it, and it was about 35 minutes long, and we looked at one another at the end of it, and we were like, that was pretty good.
I thought you were going to say, and then we thought, maybe not.
So that was literally our first episode, and you can go back and listen to it. It's called Meet Samuel and Kelly, November 9th, 2020. And but our start was very slow because that was during COVID. And so a lot of our episodes in season one were remote. So the quality's not as good, and it's sometimes a little bit challenging to record via a computer. And but we kept it going, and we were gaining some traction. And then after about a year, we decided we need a woman's presence on our podcast.
I heard a little something about that.
Yeah. And so we asked Rachel, Rachel, would you join us? And thank God she did. And
That's been a blast.
She's been amazing from the start. And now we're at our third phase because we realized we really want to take this to a different level, as well as, again, get a variety of experience, life experience. And so Cori, we invited you and we invited Andy. And so I thought today, as a start to this episode, we could learn a little bit about each of us and our roles here at Ada Bible, because this is an Ada Bible Church podcast. And we've all worked here for some time. And so I tell you what, I'll just pepper you with a few questions. And Andy, I'll start with you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sure.
And Cori, you and Rachel are going to get the same questions. Andy, how long have you been at Ada?
So I've been attending Ada for 7 or 8 years. Just got on staff about a year and a half ago.
Cool. And for our listeners, there is an episode about 10 before this one where Andy and his wife Esther are interviewed. So if
It's
you want
so good.
It is good.
And that was before baby, I think.
Yeah, that was pre-baby. So we had energy.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
They used
great.
to sleep more.
Right. Remember those days.
Yes.
So Andy, what do you do?
So my title is the men's pastor at the Knapp Street campus of Ada Bible. And the focus of what I do is really trying to bring men into community so that they can grow in their faith. So we have a couple kind of mission statements or goals that we talk about. And so we say we're trying to build disciples, grow disciples in relational environments. And so that's a large portion of what I do is try and get guys connected in groups with other guys and get them into the Word. We at Ada, as Christians, believe that the Word of God is the living and breathing and active, and so we just try and introduce guys to it. We try and build an affection in them for the Word, and hopefully in doing so, they grow in every area of their life, grow in relationships, grow in integrity, and so that's kind of our goal.
That's awesome. What do you love about your job?
Oh, there are so many things. So we're in a busy season right now. It seems odd to say it like this, but we're kind of entering into a ministry season, which kind of works like a school season. And so we're launching groups. We're getting curriculums going. I also just had a big event we call Man Nights at our campus this past week. And so we're really busy. And I'm not sure I've ever been as busy as I am with a 6-week-old at home as well. And with all that, one of the cool things that I've just had to kind of pause and reflect on over the last couple of weeks is there isn't anything I would give up. I love every aspect of it. Maybe the administrative side of things I'd pass off. To be fair, it's not my favorite, but I love just one-on-one talking with guys. I got a chance, like I said, Man Night, got to get up in front of guys and kind of share my heart. This time about mentorship, and I love doing that as well. I like speaking. And then we get to write the curriculums that we're doing, so we're heavy into that right now as well, and I love that as well. So those are the things I really enjoy about working for Ada.
You're good at it, Andy.
Thank you. Thanks, Cori.
And you're married.
And I'm married.
And to Esther, how many years again?
So it'll be 2 in November.
Awesome.
So coming up on 2 years.
Now here's the really important question. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
I'm going to ask each of you this question. You could only have one meal for the rest of your life. What would it be?
Important.
Oh, yeah, this is crucial. All right, guys, pull out your pen and start writing this down. There is a sandwich shop in Leland, Michigan, a couple hours north of us here. In Leland, Michigan, it's called the Village Cheese Shanty.
I've been there.
Yes.
You have not.
Yes.
Kelly, why am I not surprised that you've been there?
So Kelly hangs out at the Village Cheese Shanty as well.
Yep.
And they have the best sandwiches in the world. You can ask anybody who's been there. They're incredible.
I totally agree.
Yeah, they're incredible. So I'm a huge sandwich guy. Love sandwiches. They have the best pretzel bread, and everything that goes on that just makes it 10 times better. So it's that's what I would have every meal, every day for the rest of my life if I could.
I won't share yet what mine is, but that would be a good second. I'm shocked you guys have not been at the sandwich shop.
No, I'm going to.
It sounds like a must.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a must. And the sandwich that you want to have is called the North Shore. Village Cheese Shanty, Leland, Michigan.
What is the North Shore?
The North Shore. Pretzel bread, turkey, herb mayo, Swiss cheese, bacon, lettuce, tomato.
That's how much he loves the sandwich.
Yes,
I asked
so
him and he knew it in detail.
I think they will welcome you to their promotions team.
Yeah. This is an unpaid promotion.
Right. Love it.
So Rachel, you're up next.
All right.
So what's your job?
So my job, for the last 5.5 years, have been one of the women's ministry directors at one of our campuses, Cascade. I also was involved with one-on-one discipleship mentoring at all the campuses for the last couple of years. But recently, I stepped in to be the director of women's ministry. Yeah.
Big deal.
Congrats.
Yeah, but it's already just such an honor to help the directors at each campus do great work and to help women find their way to those circles where we are aiming for the same things that Andy was talking about, wanting women to connect with one another in a meaningful way, but ultimately with God, to pursue God together through purposeful relationships and to grow, to be more like Jesus. So that's what all the leaders are about. And we love watching women take brave steps to get in community and then their lives just start changing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're married too.
I am. I've been married a little longer than Andy and a little longer than Cori. I don't know if I've been married longer than you, Kelly, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
we're going to find out.
31 years.
Ooh, you beat me.
I did.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, and we're just getting to know one another.
Yeah.
You're only 28. How does that work?
I know. Exactly. I know. Love being married to John. Yeah.
And for our listeners, that episode was March 22nd of 2022. Okay. So what do you love about your job?
What I love about my job, it's kind of personal, But I went through a season. I had been really close to the Lord and connected with other believers. And then I wasn't. I wasn't intentional anymore, and I ended up drifting. And it ended up, leading me to really, sad places. It was a hard stretch of my life. And then people invited me, come back, come check this out. And I eventually took them up on the offer, found my way to a group where we studied God's word. I'd never studied God's word for myself. Everything changed. And so now I just want everybody get connected. Don't try going this alone. I tried that. And so it's just, it's special to me every time with every person.
Yeah, you are so dedicated to this, Rachel, and it's wonderful to see you in that role. So again, really important question. You can only eat one thing for the rest of your life. What is it?
Well, it's funny that you would ask, because if you surveyed my friends, they could all tell you. Because it's what's something unique about you? I have loved taco salads for years. So as many nights of the week as possible, I have a taco salad for dinner. And I'm talking at least a dozen years. I have all the components on hand at all times. And I just love it every day.
Does John eat them with you?
No.
Oh.
He will once every 2 weeks, max.
So I want to know what these percentages are. Out of a week, how many taco salads out of 7 days?
Probably 4.
Oh
Wow.
I love that.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did not know that about you.
I know, it's special, right?
Tacos. So everybody, you now know what to get Rachel for her birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
A taco salad?
Yes.
Olives?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, spicy.
Thank you.
One of the key ingredients is hot paste salsa. So, yes. So.
Yummy. Cori, you're up.
Excellent.
So what's your job?
So I think in the last year and a half, 2 years, transitioned into the role of Director of Operations for Lifeline, which at Ada, that's our student ministry. So 6th through 12th grade, so middle school and high school. Like Rachel, I was at a campus, specifically directing that campus for middle school and high school, running youth group weekly, but transitioned into kind of helping run the events and kind of strategizing what we're doing year to year. And so, yes, I love middle school and high school students, but a lot of my job is empowering and encouraging the leaders, because we could not do what we do without our small group leaders. And you guys probably feel the same of our small group leaders are huge. And so just encouraging them. And I think, like Rachel, you said, it's personal. There's a time in my life when, and I think middle school and high school, you just have so many questions. And so if there's a space that a student can come and walk through some of those things, and if you're parents and are listening, what your kids are up against right now, and just to provide a space for them to lean in and ask questions and get to know God and build relationships with each other, that's awesome. There's opportunities at Lifeline every night. I'll probably cry every night because it's just so fun. So I'm crying because they're crazy, but no, a little bit both.
Yeah.
But no, it's awesome. So it's been truly a joy. Yeah. It's
How long
awesome.
have you been here?
6 years.
6 years. And what do you love about your job?
I love seeing students when they're just hanging out and playing together. I love seeing that connection between another adult that's not their parent and, someone else. The trust that's there, whether they're laughing together or having fun. And then just recently, I'll share a story with you guys, but this year we're just really encouraging students to get into the Word and bringing their Bibles. So we bought, I don't even know how many Bibles, but they're going through them like hotcakes. We're just giving away Bibles. And for every middle school student to have a Bible open on their lap during a Wednesday night is just... It's so fun, you guys. It's so fun. So that's been really fun. But yeah, and just to see the trajectory too, you meet a 6th grader and then you hopefully see them as a 12th grader, and just to say hey, we love you here, and you have someone no matter where you go when you graduate is really cool.
Well, I've had the privilege of seeing Cori in action a bunch, and I love the way high schoolers and middle schoolers feel so seen by you. And in their eyes, you're very cool. And so I feel like not everybody can pull that off. I could not, like you're so approachable and you have such a way with them. It's really great. Yeah.
I don't know if that means I have the maturity of a middle schooler. Sometimes.
Definitely not. And I totally agree with you, Rachel. Cori's magnetic. You're married.
I am married.
How long? And what's this guy's name?
This guy's name is Colin. 2 L's. I feel like we should clarify that.
Sounds like that's a thing.
L's, yes. Not so much anymore, but yeah, 2 L's. We have been married for 5 years, but dated for about 6 before that. So we've been together since 2012.
Long time.
Yeah.
A little teaser number 1 in this episode is Colin and Cori are going to be interviewed by Andy and Esther Donaldson.
I'm so excited.
Which is going to be very fun, and I can't wait to listen to that.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I'll babysit.
Yes. Very fun.
And then you get the last question, the final question, and that is, what's your food you cannot live without? Is it taco salads?
I was going to say taco related, but
Oh, really?
But I really think I couldn't live, and this is such a middle school or high school answer, you guys. I could not live without pizza. I kid you not. I would eat pizza every day if I could.
What has to be on it?
Colin actually introduced me to, I just love just a classic pepperoni. I really do. I do. But if you do pepperoni and pineapple, that's like thin crust.
Ooh.
I know. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of good.
Okay. So I'll give mine away. Mine's pizza. We'll get it. We'll
Kelly,
maybe
we didn't coordinate. I'm sorry.
I know. Maybe we'll get in a little conversation here, but I do have an additional question. What's your favorite pizza in Grand Rapids?
Oh man.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay. So during COVID, we tried to rank all the places in Grand Rapids. We only got to Jack's Frozen Pizza. That's all we got. Oh my goodness, that is really difficult.
Well, if you think of it, we'll come back to you. Mine is Fricano's. Have you ever had Fricano's?
Oh, Fricano's is really good. Really, really, really good. Yeah.
Mine's Fricano's.
I'm not going to say Pizza Hut. That's what's in my brain right now, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
We would demote you from the podcast.
Yeah,
if you
I
said
know.
Pizza Hut.
I'm not saying that for the record.
Okay.
I'm not saying that.
But Fricano's is local, so some of us might need to order from them sometime soon. What should we get on our pizza, Kelly?
Well, my food for you guys to know is pizza. And when I heard this question on another podcast, and I thought it was an interesting one, and immediately when the person asked it on air, I thought pizza. And I am a sausage snob. So I'm branching out a little bit, primarily because of Julie. So we're now throwing some green pepper and mushroom and onion on it. But I used to be a purist and just sausage.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Now, Kelly, I don't know if all of our listeners know exactly what your role is and how long you've been around Ada Bible. What is that?
Yeah. My title is Director of Care Support, and I've been here 15 years.
Okay. And you had said earlier their number one need in that care world is marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. So my role is basically for some people, one of the cool things about Ada, and this is why I took the job 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we were about 5,000 people. And the main reason why I took the job is I heard very seriously from the leadership that they took care seriously, even though that they were so large. And in fact, that's kind of why they hired me, because they were having some trouble, some challenges with how do we care for people when we're this large? And so back then I worked with our executive pastor, and we worked together of kind of redefining what care was. And so my main role is to support you guys. In fact, you guys are all on the quote unquote care team. We have certain staff who are designated to care, and our staff do an amazing job. And so, yeah, that's what my role is, to kind of oversee all that.
What's your favorite part about all that?
There's twofold. My favorite part is every month I go to every campus and I do meetings with the care staff at each campus, and we talk about the care they're doing. And that's one of my favorite parts of the job, because I'm just always blown away by how just the care that our staff is doing for our people. And you also have to understand, we get a lot of care.
People reach out.
People reach out. I think, last month we had 300 unique care situations as a staff.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Can you list off a few things that would be included when you say care? What kind of things are we dealing with?
Great question, Andy. Well, it's mainly a big part of care is a person or a family or a couple is struggling and we need help in some way. Now, that can branch out in different ways, like I'm struggling spiritually or I'm struggling financially. So we have deacons who work in our benevolence ministry. And but we, ministry I always champion, which is, I think, an unsung ministry, is our meals ministry. So we offer meals to, if you're not in a small group, if you're not super connected to the church, if you're going into a hospital for a surgery, or you just had a baby, or there was a sudden death, those type of things. And so all of that is volunteer led. And it's just incredible how, it runs like a well-oiled machine. Cool. And again, pizza is my, pizza is mine.
And Kelly, how long, I know Rachel said 31 for you and John. How long have you and your wife been married?
29.
29.
We're going to catch up to that.
Right? Is that how it works? You catch up.
Right. And they're going to take a special trip probably for your 30th. If it's not planned yet, we'll talk after this episode.
Do we get to plan it for them?
I do. I want to know more.
I don't know.
They're going to Leland.
Yes. To get a supersonic sandwich.
Smart.
I know.
Good choice.
I know.
Oh, fun. Well, there's so many things I feel like that we get to share and learn from just like, since this podcast started in 2020, like I've heard of so many awesome things shared from different couples. But one thing that I love that we get to do here is hear from each other too. Like even in that short snippet, I learned how long you guys had been married. And so I think that's really, really awesome. And I think that's just cool. Like we're all going to be in different spots. Like you guys have been married for, 30 years. Andy and I have been married for not Andy and I, but respectively so. Bringing just new, like different seasons of marriage. And I think that's so fun. And I, just from working alongside you all, I've learned, just you pick up different things. So to share different things that we like or different books or things that have helped us in our journeys, it's been really fun to hear from all of you guys too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the valuable parts about expanding our team, too. You're coming from a different seat on the ministry bus, right? We're different ages. We're in different stages of our marriages, and we're learning from one another. And there's a lot of that on this podcast. We're learning from each guest. We learn from each conversation we get to share. And, of course, all of our listeners are invited into that learning with us.
And, too, there was a couple episodes, I think, where Kelly, your wife came on and Samuel's wife came on. And I think you led that conversation too. So even bringing like our own families and Andy and Esther, like it's fun to hear and get to know you a little bit more too. So I've thoroughly enjoyed those and hope you guys too listening do as well.
Yeah. When I first started at Ada, I was working side by side with Samuel and getting to listen to the podcast and learn more about him that, maybe we didn't get to in our staff meetings. It was fun to hear kind of his heart and kind of made it even make more sense when he went back out to do counseling full time, because it was like, well, this is a passion of his.
Yeah, so there are different facets of the podcast. They're super intentional. Andy, what's a facet or an aspect of the podcast that you especially value?
Yeah, good question. I think what I've always loved is hearing from some of the professionals that you guys bring on. You've had authors, you've had different people, professionals in town, other counselors. Counselors are kind of my people. So even some of the people that you've had on the show, I've known them personally, and it's been fun to hear them share, usually with a lot of passion, their area of expertise. And I remember listening more recently to Matt DeHogue. I think he's been on twice now, right? And his more recent one, where he talked about the disc and just. It's an assessment I know of, but not am super familiar with. And getting to hear him really share more in depth, and then Kelly, you sharing in that one as well, your experience there. So yeah, I love those episodes.
I agree. I am not an expert, so hearing from these experts and each counselor or some of these national authors even, I mean, they are studied and they bring so much to those conversations.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I've heard of these names too, and maybe I've read a book, but to hear them talk and you get a different, you feel like you get to know them a little bit more too, but also maybe I wasn't ready to hear that in a season of my marriage. And now like I am, where I can go back and listen. And I think that has been so cool because then I can just search it and I'm like, oh, they had that on there, or, oh, I want to listen to Matt's, or I've heard about the disc at work, but I didn't know how that could, change in my marriage. Yeah. Impact. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? So that, I think that's been really cool too, to get these experts, like you said, Rachel. And if I'm not ready for it now, I might be ready for it later too.
Andy, I'm so glad you brought that up because Samuel and I never ever thought when we started this that it would turn into what it's become. And some of the guests that we've had on, again, we have a lot of great counselors in the Grand Rapids area. And so we've been able to interview a lot of those counselors and just kind of glean really good stuff from them. And we're going to continue to do that. But the other part too is to kind of just note two guests that I remember. The first is Rachel, you got to interview Les Parrott with Samuel, kind of nationally known.
Yes, that was a privilege.
And Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And but the other one, more kind of close to home, you guys will have already listened to this episode, but I got to interview Ted Lowe, and Ted, did the marriage event. Hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen in a month from about right now, but we're really looking forward to that. And that was a great conversation. So,
yeah, Shanti and Jeff Feldhan had come in as well. They brought some really great perspectives with them as well. So we're talking about different facets of the podcast, and by far my favorite, I mean, those are all great, but by far my favorite is getting to step into couples stories. So many couples have bravely stepped into this environment and they've been real and they're inviting us into the struggles. And I think something to note is every marriage is a story, it has a story. We're in it, right? We're still in it if we're married. So that's been really helpful. And for me, being part of this care, ministry and getting to have conversations with people, one of the things I've especially appreciated about that is getting to share a specific episode with that specific person I just chatted with. And they listen to it. They, their hope, they leave with a little more hope after listening, and they'll usually get the resource. We just posted an episode with Jan and Keith Scott, where they invited us into their marriage story and shared how they'd become part of a ministry called Restoring the Gift. And that ministry is for couples who wonder if they're going to make it.
Wow.
And, a couple couples reached out recently and said, you know what, we're not in a good place. And we said, what would you think about going to that opportunity in October and investing a weekend? Spend it with Jan and Keith, kind of walk through the program they're a part of. And some AIDA couples are going.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just one example.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the couples that get brought on too. I remember, I still work with some couples, but in counseling, I feel like sometimes I'll end up being a broken record with just saying, yeah, that's actually kind of normal. People come in and they don't realize that so many of the struggles they're going through are fairly common, maybe not to every couple, but to a lot of couples. And so to hear the stories on the podcast and go, yeah, that's just like our marriage. We're not alone in that, I think is really powerful. And I think of an episode with Dan and Diane Schroeder. They were on as a couple, but Diane is a professional counselor in the area as well. And I actually went to school with Diane, getting our counseling degrees. And I remember listening to that episode and just being so really impressed with her willingness to get real and just be really vulnerable about struggling through some depression and just share openly. And I guarantee there are so many wives and even husbands out there that have experienced the same thing in their marriage, just going through bouts of depression and going, I don't know how to deal with this and my marriage at the same time. So really appreciated Diane's openness there.
Yeah. Andy, I love what you said too about a couple might not be ready to talk about those things, or maybe one side is feeling it and not the other, and if you're listening and maybe you're there too, of like, I didn't know anyone else went through this. One episode that sticks out to me is with Katie and Austin Moore, the Moores, and just their struggle with not being able to conceive and infertility. And I think even, I think we've all been touched by that. So, someone or someone who's struggling with that, and that can be really hard. So Rachel, to your point too, of saying like, hey, I actually know someone who's gone through this. You don't have to talk to anyone, but you can listen. You can listen to this couple and be encouraged. And I just think they were so wise in their walk and just with each other and leaning on the Lord during that time too. And that episode was really powerful for me too. And I think a lot of people and couples struggle with that in so many different ways. And so, not being alone, Andy, that was huge for me.
I'm so glad you even brought that one up, because even last week I met with someone who opened up about their journey with infertility, shared that episode, and were so encouraged by it. I think it inspired their faith. Yeah, I did.
Wow. Wow.
It's so good. Yeah, Rachel, I agree. I think and again, I want us to continue to get better and better at doing this in interviewing couples. And one of my favorite, I've interviewed quite a few now, but one of my favorites, and I know him personally pretty well, is Jim and Sharon McFarland. And Jim had an interesting story here because he had been married 40 plus years to Karen, and sadly she died of cancer. And he ended up, after going through a journey, and they really share, again, vulnerably, their journey. Rachel, you and I again did this one. Their journey of how they got to where they were, where Jim and Sharon were comfortable and ready to get married. And there were so many good, one of the things I remember about that episode, there were so many good, like, practical things they talked about that I think if you're in that spot, you should go listen to that episode.
And it wasn't like, if you're in this spot, do these 3 things. It's just more, wow, they did something intentional and that made a big difference. And then that listener, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't have thought of that. And it just results in some practical changes and applications. So that's been great.
Wow.
Yeah, we listed several couples. I think we could go on and on, but
Yes. Now, Rachel, didn't you sit down with someone recently, you and Samuel, interviewed?
We did.
Another couple.
Yes, we
Who
did.
was that?
Well, occasionally we get to sit down with some of our pastors that are on staff, and I know our listeners have loved getting to know our pastors better, and those have been dearly loved episodes. And recently, Samuel and I got to sit down with the Manions.
Wow.
And just like the other couples we brought in, they were real, and they're going to share about challenging seasons. And it's not a do these 3 things, but they're going to invite us in, and they're just, I shared this at the end of the episode, but what a gift they are to this church family.
Absolutely.
So can't wait for the listeners to get to hear that. I think that's coming in December.
Yeah. That'll release in December. I'm really, really looking forward to listening to that one because, Jeff and Chris have been serving at Ada 40 plus years. Just think of that number. That's incredible.
All right. Yeah. Good talking with you guys today. Together, friends, we thank you for joining us today. If this podcast has impacted your life in any way, we'd love to hear about it. In fact, we'd love to hear where you want us to go next. What kind of topics, maybe if you have ideas of professionals or people you want us to have on the show, we'd love to hear that. So be sure to reach out. Feel free to comment, share, and like our podcast on your listening platform. For Kelly, Cori, Rachel, and I, this has been TwoGether. Tune in next time.
Thanks for listening to TwoGether. We hope you've learned a thing or two. If you find the podcast helpful, please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your listening platform, leave a comment, and give us a 5-star rating. If you'd like more information on Ada Bible Church and its ministries, or someone to pray or dialogue with about your marriage, go online and check out our website at adabible.org.